of the weather forecast. Tonight, the national territory will be quite cool due to showers in the east, the Adamawa, the center, the south, the western highlands, and the coastline. We'll be having a minimum temperature of 16-17 degrees in the northwest region, 18 degrees in the west region, 17 to 22 degrees expected in the center, 25 degrees in the littoral region, going to a maximum temperature of 26 degrees in part of the far north region. For details, ladies and gentlemen, let's go first to the southwest region, where precipitation are expected this evening with thunderstorms. In the whole region, the same weather condition will prevail until the morning. We'll have a minimum temperature of 18 to a maximum of 26 degrees. Next, let's go to the south region, where precipitation are equally expected this evening with thunderstorms. The same weather condition will prevail until the morning. Do not forget to unplug your electrical appliances whenever you go out. Let's end now with the north region, where clear skies will only dominate in Garoua. The rest will be cloudy. The same weather condition will prevail until the morning. Do not forget to have hot drinks before you go to sleep. Ladies and gentlemen, with such weather condition, I advise you to clear your farms. Have a good night. God bless you. Take good care of yourselves.
That was the weather forecast with C3 Production.
As leader in third-generation audiovisual content, C3 Production offers you tomorrow's solutions today. Digital video production and broadcast, data-less e-learning platforms, virtual and augmented reality. C3 Production, mastery of innovation. Even perfection evolves.
Heads of state and government of the Lake Chad Basin Commission review the security situation in the basin and recommit to eliminating terrorism and to cool down the hot political climate in some member countries. The new foreign exchange regulation of the Bank of Central African States, BEAC, brings the bank and business persons in the sub-region at loggerheads, with most of them, the business person that is, resisting to comply. Traders in Cameroon and other businesses are again facing the problem of change difficulty due to the shortage of coins in the economic circuit. Tempers are flaring between businessmen and their customers across the country. And those are our lead stories. Hello, thanks for joining us. I am Ben Menopufong, and this is the 7:30 News.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
You're welcome once again. The extraordinary summit of the Lake Chad Basin Commission was holding today in the Nigerian capital, Abuja, with the leaders of the Eight-Nation Commission recommitting to restoring peace in an area battered by terrorism and political tensions. The high-level discussions were chaired by Nigerian leader Muhammadu Buhari. Cameroon's delegation to the summit is led by the Secretary General of the Presidency of the Republic, Ferdinand Ganga, representing the President of the Republic. Charles Ebune reports.
Abuja, Nigeria today, the Africa Day, but also the day of an extraordinary summit of the 57-year-old Lake Chad Basin Commission, with Cameroon as a founding member, headquartered in the Chadian capital in N'Djamena. Tasked to mobilize 12 billion CFA francs to finance the regional stabilization plan, today's meeting of the Leaders' Summit focused on the prevailing temperatures in one of its key founding members, Chad, following the death of Field Marshal General President Idris Deby Itno. Chaired by the organization's current chairman, Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari, Cameroon was represented by the Minister of State Secretary General of the Presidency of the Republic, Ferdinand Gongo, here dispatched by President Paul Biya. Amongst the files under examination is the stockpiling of small and light weapons in the area, which armed terror groups like Boko Haram to carry out atrocities, as indicated by the Executive Secretary of the Lake Chad Basin Commission, Maman Nuhu. According to the chairman of the Lake Chad Basin Commission in his opening statement, Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari, the countries of the Lake Chad Basin area are committed to restoring peace and security shattered by Boko Haram activities and other enemies of peace. The extraordinary summit, which was also extended to partner countries and organizations like the European Union and the United States of America, was sanctioned by a press release which contained resolutions for implementation.
And the summit is holding at a time when there has been an upsurge in the number and frequency of attacks on both military and non-military targets in the Lake Chad Basin since the inception of the deadly terrorist group Boko Haram. To have the situation under control, the countries of the Lake Chad Basin established the multinational joint task force. Despite numerous political, logistical, technical and financial challenges, the member countries are still staging a common front against the common enemy. Moki Edwin Kinzaka has an appraisal of the collective affront against terrorism.
Countering terrorism requires global coordination and global solutions. That is why member states brought terrorism to the UN agenda 3 decades ago. They argued that no one can claim freedom from the global threat. Terrorism can affect anyone, anywhere, and at any time. The UN Global Counter-Terrorism Strategy identifies 4 pillars of action: measures to address the conditions conducive to the spread of terrorism, measures to prevent and combat terrorism, measures to build states' capacity to prevent and combat terrorism, and measures to ensure respect for human rights for all and the rule of law as the fundamental basis for the fight against terrorism. Cameroon, under its leader Paul Biya, is part of the global agenda. The president, as far back as in 2015, during a Unity Palace state dinner offered in honor of the Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari, said, quote, "Terrorism is today a global threat and only a global response can stamp it out. The future of our states, the prosperity and well-being of our peoples, as well as world peace, depend on it." End of quotes.
And it's good to know that at one time considered the 6th largest lake in the world, Lake Chad has shrunk by a staggering 90% between 1963 and 2013. Currently estimated at about 500 square kilometers in size, the lake may disappear in the next 2 decades if measures are not taken to forestall this disaster. Joyce Kimbi-Fawaju reports on projects that have been earmarked to stop the lake from further shrinking.
The tale of the dying Lake Chad, one of the largest water body on the planet, covering parts of Nigeria, Niger, Chad and Cameroon. It's shrunk by over 90% already.
That we have around 25,000 kilometers of water, and today it's around 14,000 kilometers.
Climate variability, climate change and human pressures are being accused for killing the lake. International and sub-regional plans and reflections are on course to resurrect the lake and its resources.
There is now a plan that countries propose to make with contribution of World Bank and African Development Bank. They decide to help us to resolve some problems of this lake.
No concrete actions are yet on the ground to safeguard the dying Lake Chad Basin, despite its importance to the livelihoods of over 30 million people around the lake and its basin. More than 60% declining in livestock and fish production and huge threats to biodiversity around the Lake Chad Basin. It's high time governments concerned graduate from big talk to concrete actions to rescue Lake Chad from giving up the ghost.
Away from the Lake Chad Basin to yet another sub-regional body, and the Bank of Central African States has since February this year begun lightening its control over monetary transfer institutions. To get that measure going, it has developed a set of rules specifying the terms and conditions of offering fast international monetary services. However, and as Luma Slim Davis now reports, the measure has brought the bank and the economic operators in the sub-region at loggerheads.
Remitting money abroad for business transactions remain a central nerve point for the sustenance of local businesses, but this is subject to rules and regulations.
For those who want to send money up to 1 million is not a problem because they can send money. There is no supporting document that is required. When the amount is more than 1 million, they have to give some support document. Let's say you have to buy some goods abroad. You have to give the documentation about your supplier. You have to give the documentation about your activity.
Local business operators, however, sometimes complain of such requirements which they consider stiff.
Cameroonian business people, sometimes they don't have administrative document because they are working in the informal economics.
While many local business persons sometimes get stuck in the process, do expatriate business operators also have difficulties?
No, not problem. Every day some goods is coming, but now it's 10 days, 15 days, 1 month, like this.
However, the rules and regulations are well laid down and everyone is expected to abide by them.
And one of the objectives of the BEAC foreign exchange regulation is to guarantee traceability and control in transactions and to check the financing of terrorism in the sub-region. But Clarice Array Takang says the stakes are even higher given the rising threats to security and the unstable world economics, which are now prompting nations to preserve their foreign exchange reserves. Clarice?
Fighting terrorism financing and checking money laundering. Two thorns in the flesh of many governments in the Central African sub-region. The situation has been heightened by rising security threats in nations, creating fears that concealing the source of fraudulently obtained money readily thrives in such an environment. It is one of the reasons which explains the decision taken by the Bank of Central African States regulating currency transfers. The idea is to guarantee traceability and control, particularly at a time when there is need to preserve foreign exchange reserves. Meanwhile, the goal to improve currency repatriation and justify additional expenses incurred out of the sub-region is gradually being attained, sources from the institution explain. Since 2018, the billions have more than doubled, figures show, an indication that more and more of those concerned are adhering to the regulation in force. On another positive, the average delay time for the treatment of transfer requests from credit institutions to the central bank has equally turned green. Top on the agenda is to ensure that all currency assets for BEAC account holders are centralized, thus easy to monitor. It is the pillar on which the hope for a more effectively managed foreign exchange policy in the CEMAC sub-region is built.
You got it in the headlines. Coin shortage continues to be a major hindrance to business in Cameroon as the ugly phenomenon is again resurfacing after it almost crippled the national economy in 2019. Though the Bank of Central African States injected a considerable volume of coins into the economic circuit to stem the shortage, the business community is still decrying an acute coin shortage, describing the BEAC measure as not good enough. Caroline Okier Anoma went observing the trend on the ground and is here with what she saw and heard.
In 2019 and 2020, the Bank of Central African States, BEAC, injected a total of over 1,200,000,000 CFA francs worth of coins into the Cameroonian economy. Yet the issue of scarcity of coins seems unresolvable and only cause harm to businesses.
Per day, I can lose more than 50 clients because I do not have coins to reimburse as change. There is a lot of problems of coins to the point where to catch a taxi is a problem, because if you do not have coins, the taxi will not take you.
When you go to gas station to buy coins, they will say for 1,000 francs bill, you get 850 francs worth of coins. For 500 francs, they cut 150 francs. What do I even make in the first place? Some vendors attempt buying coins from fueling stations just to keep up with business. However, not all coins are scarce, as 1, 2, 5 and 10 francs are the coins available but rejected by the population, and this is a crime. Experts on monetary security mention that this issue could be resolved by re-examining the monetary policy to reflect the prices in the market. Others say reduce the high quality of material used in fabricating coins so as to stop the illicit trafficking of coins for jewelries, as well as by Asians, with the complicity of Cameroonians, just to mention those.
Caroline Okianoma reporting there, and you're watching the 7:30 news on the Cameroon Radio Television. We are beaming live from Yaoundé. The new director of the regional office of the ADB for Central Africa says he will match his objectives with those of the Cameroon government in order to improve on infrastructure, boost the economy and stimulate job creation in the country. Serge Marie Nguessan took the commitment in Yaoundé today after an audience granted him by Prime Minister Joseph Dion Gute. Star Building correspondent Christian Chiatam reports.
Beyond just a simple courtesy call, the meeting between Prime Minister Joseph Dion Gute and the new ADB Director General for Central Africa set orientations for ADB interventions in Cameroon for the coming years.
If you want a country to modernize quickly, you have to have the backbone, which is the infrastructure. And I reassure the Prime Minister that we are already in those sectors. In the energy sector, the road sector, we are going to push and we are going to focus on the results.
Prime Minister Joseph Dion Gute and the ADB senior level executive equally agreed on the necessity to place industrialization at the center of actions.
We believe that if we are able to help Cameroon industrialize itself for the region, it will be economically a good news.
The new ADB official wants to accompany the government in the development of the northwest and southwest regions.
We are going to sign next week the agreement for the ring road. It won't be enough for the African development. We need to do more in those two regions.
Serge Nguessan says during his tenure, he wants to deliver projects which will touch the lives of the ordinary people of Cameroon.
The Technical Commission in charge of monitoring the mobilization of financial resources for the implementation of CEMAC's integration projects is working on ways of realizing the projects within the sub-region. The members of the commission are meeting in their third session in Douala to measure the ground covered thus far. The permanent secretary of the CEMAC Economic and Financial Reform Program, Professor Michel Sir Jenna Wembu, is chairing the deliberations. Cynthia Rethim is in Douala.
The integration projects of CEMAC concern the facilitation of transports and trade, production and interconnection of electricity and communication networks, as well as human capital. The members of CEMAC Technical Commission in charge of monitoring and mobilization of financial resources for the implementation of the projects are thus meeting to adopt a program that will permit its effective implementation in the field. According to the permanent secretary for CEMAC, some projects are paying off already, while others are in the pipeline.
Those projects are construction of the Congo-Cameroon University. We have the electrical interconnection between Chad and Cameroon. We can consider that everything is done. Then we have three other projects. We are working on those projects with our partners to make sure that in 2 years we will be in the position to announce to our population that the project will start.
The overall goal of the CEMAC projects is geared towards strengthening regional integration and accelerate diversification of economies for the common good of the population.
Still in Douala, the three-day Douala Economic Forum has ended with several resolutions, among them the commitment to prepare for the second edition and to create opportunities for investors in the economic capital. Mercy Ashu reports on the salient issues and resolutions of this very maiden edition.
The groundwork has been laid in 3 days, and the ball is now in the court of development partners like the City Council, town planners and architects to get back to the drawing board if Douala must answer to the name an attractive city.
The resolutions that were taken at the forum, so the first by the organizer is that he said they would try to organize it over a longer period of time. The mayor said that the current urban plan should be adapted to the new needs.
It seems to be a success. We are proud of it, and we have taken the resolution to organize a second edition in order to give people opportunity to come and discuss together about the development of the city.
We can retain that we wanted to put in the public place of Douala an idea, and I hope that we succeed.
The forum should certainly whip the appetite of development partners and investors to copy the initiative in other regions.
Women's rights and bodily autonomy is the focus of the 2021 report on the state of the world population, jointly made public in Yaoundé today by the Cameroon government and the United Nations Population Fund, the UNFPA. During today's official ceremony, the Minister of Economy, Planning and Regional Development and the UNFPA country resident representative renewed their commitment to work in synergy in order to put an end to gender-based violence. We have details with Ewane Epole.
Cameroon government is working in synergy with the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, in promoting women's rights. Launching the State of the World Population Report for 2021 in a ceremony in Yaoundé, the Minister of Economy, Planning and Regional Development, Alamine Ousmane May, reiterated government's commitment to end gender-based violence. According to the Deputy Representative of UNFPA in Cameroon, it is the first time a United Nations report focuses on bodily autonomy in regard to women's rights.
12 million for this year. Health, youth, family planning, and data for the census.
Through this groundbreaking report, UNFPA is supporting women by making sure that Cameroon laws are in favor of gender equality and the respect of women's right to make decisions.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
Despite the surging number of Cameroonians voluntarily opting for the COVID-19 vaccination, there is still quite a good number of others who are reluctant to show up for the life-saving jabs on grounds of doubts over the efficacy of the vaccines. However, health experts are reassuring as to the efficacy of the three vaccine types currently being administered to Cameroonians. The efficacy of the COVID-19 vaccines is the talking point tonight between Baldwin Sama and his guest, Dr. Tambasho Afizu, at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center. Hello, Baldwin.
Good evening to you, Ben Menopufong. There are some Cameroonians who are reluctant to have themselves vaccinated simply because they doubt the efficacy of some of these vaccines available in Cameroon, either the Sinopharm or the AstraZeneca. How efficient are these vaccines? Let's find out from Dr. Tambashu, who is our guest this evening. Good evening to you, Doctor.
Good evening.
Let's talk about the efficacy of the vaccines we have available in Cameroon, the AstraZeneca and Sinopharm vaccines, to reassure Cameroonians.
Actually, in Cameroon, we have two vaccines that we are using, Sinopharm and AstraZeneca. These two vaccines have been approved by WHO for use all over the world. They are very effective and safe for use, so we are encouraging Cameroonians to go to the nearest vaccination center and take any of these vaccines so that we can together kick out the coronavirus in our country.
And they should have there are some modalities to be respected before having themselves vaccinated.
To be vaccinated, you need to be in the eligible age group, which is 18 years and above. That's all you need to be vaccinated.
Thanks for that reassurance, Dr. Tambashu. Ben Menopufong, the take-home message from here tonight is we are reassuring Cameroonians of the efficacy of the vaccines, AstraZeneca and Sinopharm vaccines available in Cameroon. Cameroonians should not doubt the efficacy of these vaccines. They should go to the different vaccination centers and have themselves vaccinated against the coronavirus. Back to you, Ben Menopufong.
Thank you very much, Baldwin Sama, and your guest out there. On to other issue now. This disrespect for parking demarcations in Yaoundé is still an aspect of urban disorder that continuously pit drivers and city council authorities at loggerheads. Some drivers completely block pedestrian paths, while others defiantly park on well-marked out prohibited areas. In Act 2 of our running series tonight, Beatrice Ngum says appropriate sanctions have to be implemented to ensure respect of parking rules and regulations.
Practicing driving school lessons, it is the ideal, but not for all. Some drivers impose their own rules. His likes are many in the nation's capital, jumping into the first spot to the sea, even if it is parking prohibited. Motorists who can't find a space in a parking lot create idiots on pavements where the road is narrow, in front of other cars, or in the middle of the road.
It happens that we park poorly. When you want to buy from the shop, you have to park. However, I remain on the steering, not to block circulation.
Others just follow the lead and make a complete mess of the town. Though aware, bad parking has no excuse.
I saw other cars parked, so I decided to park here for 5 seconds. I am very conscious because it is a bend. If the council sees me, I will be sanctioned.
It is total disorder. The road user needs to be conscious. Drivers should speak a common language. If it is forbidden for me to board a taxi from here, the taxi should not transport me. A change of mentality and more stringent repressive measures could be a step to put in order.
Former tennis champion, and we are there in sports, former tennis champion Yannick Noah says he will construct a tennis club in the city of Douala to help foster talents of the discipline in the country. He declared his intentions in an audience granted him in Yaoundé today by the Minister of State Property, Surveys and Land Tenure, Henri Eyebe Ayisi. The meeting also focused on the procedures required for the tennis legend to obtain land for the project. Here is an excerpt of his declaration to the press after his audience.
To promote tennis to the highest level, I believe I can do it, but tennis is not an easy sport for the little kids. We need the structure, and we have it. So this is the idea. First the structures, then the human knowledge around, and with a dream, like maybe we have some kids who can be playing in the international level. And as you know, when you have a child or an adult who's to the highest level, he's like bringing along with him a lot of energies.
Still in sports, the joint CAF FIFA inspection mission to Cameroon has expressed satisfaction with the progress of infrastructural work in the West region ahead of the AFCON 2021 that comes up in January next year. The delegation was received today in Bafoussam by the site committee president, Governor Awafonka Augustine. From Bafoussam, Chancellor Nanze reports.
Examination and re-examination to ensure that the recommendations given during their previous visit have been respected. At the Bafoussam Omnisport Stadium in Kwekong, the different tribunes have been separated with iron bars, while the construction of the ticket verification booth is done with. The joint FIFA-CAF mission scrutinized every nook and cranny of the stadium, paying more attention to the quality of turf. At the Mbuda Municipal Stadium, Anthony Bafwe will, with the use of his right leg, test the grass again and again. They were also keen on the maintenance of the playground of the Bamenzi Municipal Stadium, like that of the Photo Victor Stadium in Banjul. Even though the FIFA-CAF mission that was in the company of the president of the organizing committee of AFCON 2021, Professor Narcisse Mwele Kombi, and the president of the local organizing committee for the Bafoussam pool, Governor Awafonka Augustine, left the West region with sealed lips, their exclamations and body language could tell of their satisfaction.
And the CAF FIFA inspection team also took interest in the lodging and health facilities in the West region, which they equally visited to assess their level of preparedness for the upcoming soccer jamboree. Chet Tembok was on their trail and now reports from CRTV West.
The joint CAF FIFA team that is on mission to the West region to inspect facilities that will host AFCON 2022 split up into small groups in order to ease work. Ina Fani's team focused on aspects relating to lodging facilities. They visited 4 hotels across the region, including the Zingana Hotel in Bafoussam, the Farida Ifre Hotel at Banganti, the Tagidor Garden Resort at Bangu, and the Valley Hotel in Bana. At each of these places, the team members had discussions with hotel management as well as other authorities whose explanations can speak to Cameroon's readiness for the big events. They were interested, for example, in the capacity of hotels and their preparedness for guests during AFCON 2022 scheduled for early next year. In the area of health infrastructures, the team visited the Bafoussam Regional Hospital, the infirmary at the Bafoussam Kwekong Omnisport Stadium, and a host of other medical centers.
That's where we leave it for tonight. Thanks for the privilege of your company. We'll be back tomorrow. Good night.
Despite our efforts,